War is upon us. War. Do you remember Revenge of the Sith with the Tyler Crawl starting with war?
Yep.
Yes, here we are. We are in the Viltrumite War and the Battle of the Coalition of Planets and everything. But after last week's episode, Mark has been decommissioned only temporarily for 4 months. 4 months, which will create some bonding time between Omni-Man and Oliver, which I thought was a very sweet moment in this episode. And really good to see for both those characters. But again, as it ends too, again, a lot of stuff happening. You know, the pacing of these last few episodes, we're just going up here, crescendo. And again, we only got 2 episodes left after this, and it's still a lot of stuff's happening. You know, planets being destroyed, space racer with the freaking gun, just whopping people, all that insane. Battle beasts and then everything, all that. So yeah, it's just good. We're tagging them all up. We're ready. But yeah, what was your thoughts on episode 6 of Invincible? Now we're kind of deep and thick into the Viltrumite War, but now also Nolan and Oliver and Mark are on a distant planet, just waiting for Mark to heal and recover.
I think similarly to how we had last episode, now that we're in the midst of the Viltrumite War, we're having these moments where it's like one half of the episode is slowing down and doing character development while the other half is doing the action and the big set pieces and all that. Because it's like, yeah, the first half was basically just Oliver and Nolan trying to rekindle and also having the hard conversations that it's like, yeah, no, Oliver 100% heard what Nolan said about his mother in the last episode when he was trying to apologize to Debbie, and it's very clear that Nolan said it himself. He's not good at this shit, and it is very apparent. It is very apparent, just the fact of like he's not trying to screw up, but at the same time he is just he needs a dad textbook. I think that's the big thing. Nolan needs a dad textbook, and he needs some therapy, because he does not know how to parent right when it comes to certain things like that. I mean, hell, I know you saw that face when Oliver said that seeing a lobster got him, you know, the teenage feels, if you know what I mean.
I think that was foreshadowing of down the line of his character, the fact of his I forgot the species name, but like again, they're insects, so it's like it's something that he probably
but that's a problem for like season 5 probably, but we'll see exactly when we get to that for Oliver. But no, I do like their conversation. I do like how, and I think I know why. It's because looking back at the storyline in the comics, I don't think I was much of a fan of Oliver in the comics around that time. So I think what Robert Kirkman and the team are doing here in terms of like giving Nolan and Oliver this time to bond while Mark is recovering from his battle with Conquest, it did good work in just making both of us understand both of these characters. We obviously like Oliver and where he is going, and understand why he is the way that he is, not just because of the fact that he is a teenager now, but just because the predicament of who he is. I mean, he even brings it up himself. Remember last season when he made friends? He's outgrown them. So literally he like, there's not many people he can connect to outside of his brother. So there's just a lot of complications going on with Oliver as well, that it's just like there's so much there. But at the very least, we gave these characters time. I mean, hell, even when we're not focusing on Nolan and Oliver, we're still slowing down in a sense, you know. Even with Allen and Zoey Tech Jacket, you know, we get little moments like that just before everything crescendos into craziness. But again, I did really like this episode a lot. It, again, like last episode, first half character building, second half action, and there's a lot of action.
Now finally seeing Thetis, the leader of the Coalition of Planets. There's some lines that he's dropped to Allen that I feel is going to stick with him on the next phase of possibly, if not this season, next season. Again, it's only telling how much you're going to cover in the next 2 episodes, but yet we can see they can cover a lot in just an hour. And pacing wise and stuff, but I just don't know, and I think that'd be a huge drastic shift. If you read the comments, you know what happens to Allen in terms of his him being conflicted now with his new responsibilities within the coalition of planets and everything, but just to set in the seeds of like, hey, this is war. It's like, yeah, but lives are at stake here, but like, yeah, this is what happens. Casualties is going to happen. And I think that you were able to bring that into Allen's perspective, which kind of hardens him eventually down the line. But I like that at least you see Data's is kind of setting those seeds on into him in terms of his perspective on what war is and what it entails, right? But I enjoyed, now going back to the Oliver and Nolan thing. I don't want to skip on that because that was just a good time for both of them, where on one hand you have a child who is growing rapidly, but at the same time he's able to in his adolescent stage with an absent father, and all the circumstances that he had gone through in a short amount of time. And then second, you have Nolan, who's on this pathway of redemption, and even then it's still difficult. And to your point, you said if there a textbook on being a dad, and there isn't, even in in the real world, there really isn't a textbook being a father, and just doing the best that you can. And then what happens is that because of the lessons you learn from the first child, then is able to write that with the second child, right? But that's also even too in this state of war, he's also toughening them up. All right, you think you can fight, let's go out, and still not trying to be he's still being remorseful, but at the same time that's still his son, and he got to still train him as a Viltrumite in this case. But I like that even when they went fishing, I thought that was really good. Just father son dynamic there that anybody really could relate to, and hope to have that with their child or with their dad and everything. And so that was nice to see that even in their flying and trying to grab this giant fish and everything. But and also to get context, even when he talked about his mother, his actual birth mother, and he has a right to be angry, and over time, it just, even that he's still going through it. I like that the writing is, he's just taking, Nolan just taking on the chin, and it's like, nope, I did say that, and I'm sorry, but I'm still trying to figure this out, and I've also, your mother did mean a lot to me at that time too, regardless how short it might have been, in the context of their lifespan for that species. But still, we saw that episode in season 2 after he left Earth. So yeah, so she saved him, so. But going into the Viltrumites, we got the bald-headed Tyrone, one-eyed Viltrumite, Mr. Krabs. We got Nissa. Nissa showed up in this.
Oh yeah, dear God, but also I thought we coined that as Viltrumite Steve Harvey, not Tyrone.
Oh yeah, Viltrumite Steve Harvey. That's another. Yeah, Viltrumite Steve Harvey, one-eyed Mr. Krabs. You also, and they're still going through trying to fight the coalition of planets, but yet they're getting their asses whooped, by a space racer with his gun, just going just right through.
Yeah, that was so funny. They're just like, oh, Zoe, you came back. Yeah, no, not just me. Boom, space racer. Which, by the way, yeah, I only found this out recently. Space racer is voiced by Winston Duke.
There will be no challenge today.
Nah,
and that was good. I like that. But then we see the return of Battle Beast. They finally found him. And you promised me battle and everything. So yeah, how about you feel about war, huh? But from the end of this episode, what you see what's going on here is that after the Mark is healed, Mark first thought that Nolan and Oliver were dead. He saw the tomb, and even then, beginning of this episode, the fact that Nolan made a tomb for conquest, it'd be like, how could you? It's like you still honor him just for the sake of Viltrumite history and everything, what he stood for. But yeah, just for Mark to wake up and thought that they died. Now it's like they're just ready to just come back and still fight. And I think this is only again the term of this show. Cause I remember in the old days, like was it 2021 or so of season 1, when we were watching the show with a couple other channels and reactors when we first met. And some people be like, man, how is the show called Invincible? And he's getting his butt whooped every episode. Yeah. I'm like, you don't get it.
You it's a, guys, come on.
Yes.
And it's still crazy. It's still crazy to think about that. And again, yeah, that is how we met. But no, it's just the fact of the name, that's a pun, right? It's called Invincible, but he is not, even though he ain't dead. It's just come on, it's been 5 years, guys, come on.
Yeah, but also, are you invincible because you are indestructible and cannot be broken, or the fact that you are broken and you continue to fight and and prevail after each battle, right? Now the threat's only getting stronger, and now the fact that Conquest is gone, and he is gone at the end of this.
I know.
That's just like the ending.
They were like, it's good. No, he's gone. We're
no,
good, guys.
He's dead.
He's gone. Jeffrey D. Morgan's down.
I like that you play on that on the viewer, because again, it's always that. Oh wait, there's a tease at the end, the person alive or whatever. Like no, he's dead. But we also have Thrag again. Thrag is not you destroyed my ship. I'm taking my damn skeleton head and we're out. Viltrumites retreat. We're going home. Right? Yeah. And calling all Viltrumites to come to Viltrum, which again is going to be a huge turning point for this show. When you guys read the comics, you know what's going to happen. But yes.
Yeah. Also, the fact that this entire time we were like, oh, there's a traitor, within the coalition. Who is it? Someone we know? Is it Alan's girlfriend over there being voiced by Tatiana Maslany? It's like, no, it was one of the guards that they always pass by going to talk to Thetis that had been the mole this entire time.
Yeah, because he feared that they were going to lose at the end of the day. He just didn't want to die. He does got bullets ahead, but he's still sticking around. But still, again, it just talking about the traitors in war. It's out of fear, not just and survival, right? But the fact that the Viltrumites retreat, collectively, and there's some good comic shots that they repeated, of them leaving the planet, and everything from the comics and everything. So that was cool. But yeah, at this point, you see devastation at the home of the coalition of planets and everything, and that reality is hitting, Alan, that no, this is war, this is happening, lives are at stake here. But Thaddeus is like, no, we know where they're going. We're going where they're going. We're going to Viltrum, and try to stop them. And now we got all the Viltrumites heading to one spot, and then also you get close up with the Scourge virus and stuff, which again is going to turn things upside down and everything for a lot of people. And honestly, I think that might be the final episode of this season. If I think what they're going to do is have that conflict end with said thing happening, to a certain character. I don't know, depending on the sake of the time of how things are going to transpire, but the pacing of this, you're building up to Thrag, you're not overly using him, and we still haven't really seen Thrag fight in this entire season, of his introduction and everything, his debut. So it'd be really exciting to see this, because again, he is the Thanos of this entire story. Now there's other villains, yes, and all that, but he is the Thanos of this storyline and everything. Again, he's going to be in there for the long game, and his relationship with Mark and Nolan, everybody, is going to be very complex and intriguing for the audience and stuff. Just even as a superhero form of storytelling, that is going to be interesting to see what they do, and also deviations what they do in the comics too. Because again, Tech Jacket is growing on me a little bit. Again, not a horrible decision. Now, would I have made that decision? No, but again, I thought she has an interesting dynamic to Alan as like a little sister type of friendship and everything. And even then, she's still holding her own, and I'd like to see how far she can go. As she's getting older, just like Oliver's getting older, and see them evolve and everything. It'd be interesting. But
yeah, speaking of older, got a little. All of them got a little facial hair on them again. Nolan's got his beard back. Oliver's getting a little stubble, and Mark definitely looks like Stephen Yeun. We knew that exactly.
Yeah, Stephen Yeun straight out of Walking Dead. Not season 7, but probably long hair with the little goatee and everything, little beard. But yeah, see, he grew on his facial hair. Just give him time, y'all. But yeah, it's I like how they're even evolving in terms of the threats that Oliver, Nolan, and Mark are going against, and especially for Mark, the fact that he's like, I'm not wasting my time fighting all y'all. We're going to this ship. Hey, Oliver, come with me. We're ending this today. and going straight to, right? Which before that big threat to the scale, you wouldn't even think that Mark would be able to be capable of that. But just like it shows that how everything that he's experienced, again, he is getting stronger. Which that line of like what Nolan said is just like the fact that he's human, he's almost nearly as strong as Nolan, meaning that humans are compatible, to Viltrumite genes and stuff, which I think is gonna also add to another story beat later down the line, in these coming episodes. But we'll see how it is though. But again, now I won't say this is my second favorite episode that we've seen so far. 5 being my favorite, obviously with the conquest fight and everything like that. I think that was good. But this was a really good, entertaining episode for episode 6 of Invincible. And guys, we're getting the home stretch now. We'll be back for episode 7 of Invincible season 4 on Prime Video. So make sure you hit the subscribe button, comment, like, and share. Let us know your thoughts in the comment section down below, your thoughts and what you guys are excited for in these last 2 remaining episodes. All right, guys. See you guys next video. Peace.